Now will you notice what he says in verse 8? Art thou better than populous Nahum? And Nahum was what we understand is Thebes. That was the great capital of Upper Egypt. Several of the pharaohs reigned up there. Fact of the matter is, let me finish this, and then I want to give you a quotation from a very fine Bible expositor. I'm reading now all of this verse. He says here, verse 8 now, Art thou better than populous Nahum? That is, of Thebes, that was situated among the rivers, and rivers is used as plural for a great deal of water. When the Nile River would overflow at the flood season, it looked like an ocean, by the way, that had the waters about it, whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea, so that actually this city was so built that at the flood season, this city would not be flooded out at all. And you remember they had to move all of this when the dam was put across the Nile River. I would like now to read this. This is an excerpt from Dr. Charles Feinberg's book on the little prophecy of Nahum, and I can certainly heartily recommend it. Unfortunately, when the last edition of my Through the Bible, Briefing the Bible, was published, we didn't get his books on the minor prophets in, but I certainly would want to include them, for they're very excellent, and I know of none that are any better than his. Now, God says to Nineveh that this city of Thebes should have been an example to the Assyrian Empire because they were the ones who had destroyed Thebes. And Thebes was a great city, a city that seemed impregnable, that no one could take it. But the Assyrians did take it, and they destroyed it. Now, that should have been an example because even at that time, God had judged Thebes, you see. And this again reveals that the government of God moves among the governments of men in this world today, and that God is moving. And we're going to see that in the next little book that we'll be taking up, by the way. Now, will you notice this excerpt that I want to read from Dr. Feinberg's book on Nahum? I'm reading now. It was the capital city of the pharaohs of the 18th to the 20th dynasties, and boasted such architecture as the Greeks and Romans admired. The Greeks called it Diospolis, because the Egyptian counterpart of Jupiter was worshipped there. It was located on both banks of the river Nile. On the eastern bank were the famous temples at Karnak and Luxor. Homer, the first Greek poet, spoke of it as having 100 gates. Its ruins cover an area of some 27 miles. Ammon, the chief god of the Egyptians, was shown on Egyptian relics as a figure with a human body and a ram's head. The judgment of this godless and idolatrous city was foretold by Jeremiah, and that's in Jeremiah 46:25, and in Ezekiel, the 30th chapter, verses 14 to 16. No Ammon, or Thebes, was situated favorably among the canals of the Nile, with the Nile itself as a protection. The Nile appears as a sea when it overflows its banks annually. Nineveh can read her fate in that of Nahum, for she is no better than the mighty Egyptian capital. But you see, God here is justifying the fact that he's judging this city, you see.